Happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday. Well, we are going to do a fun card today using a new technique. So the stamp set that we are going to feature today is our Wild Ferns stamp set. I love the images in here. This one's great for backgrounds, and the sentiments are so versatile. You can use them for many, many occasions of cards. Today we're going to be using the wishing you well today, tomorrow, and every day that follows. That really could be a card for anything, right? There's a thank you, heartfelt condolences, you are greatly appreciated, here's to new beginnings, and then of course the images. So there is also a die set that goes with the stamps. We aren't going to use these today, but I wanted to share them because they are really nice stitched rectangles in here that are great for sentiments. These little border fern dies pair great with that. And then of course our image die cuts that will cut out the fern images. So I wanted to share those, but we're not going to use those today. We're going to use another die set that we have used before. The deckled rectangles we'll be using today. So one other thing that pairs with this set really well is our embossing folder. So this is the Fern 3D embossing folder. So it's going to give you these pretty ferns as a pattern on your paper. So I love this set, and that's what we're going to use today. Let me show you our card. Let me show you our card that we're going to use. So you can see that great sentiment and our fun inside. So that is what we're going to use today. This paper that I use in the background is one of our new papers, and it comes from the Reindeer Memories new two-tone cardstock that we just launched. So two-tone cardstock is super fun because it is two-sided. So you can see there's a dark side and a lighter side, and it's got a white core inside. So this Reindeer Memories set of the two-tone cardstock comes with our Real Red, Pecan Pie, Granny Apple Green, the Garden Green, Early Espresso. So we've got lots of fun options in here. Some of our basic colors. Some of the colors you can already buy in just a single color form, or you can get these fun multi-packs. And Stampin' Up! Is going to come out with each color in their own pack as they launch them. So we will have all the colors really, really soon. So there's, I think, 4 of those multi-packs now, and I don't know, 4 or 5 colors that you can currently buy solid by themselves. So we're going to use the Garden Green from that pack today. So here is a piece of that I already cut, and you can see there is the darker side and then the lighter side of the same cardstock, which is really fun because you can, you know, if you need it a little bit lighter, if you need it a little bit darker, there's options, right? You could fold it over and see both of the colors in a project. So lots of fun options with the two-tone cardstock. So one difference in our regular cardstock versus the two-tone is the regular cardstock is dyed all the way through. So you can tear it, you're gonna see the same color in our regular cardstock. It's also a little bit thicker than the two-tone cardstock. And the two-tone cardstock is called white core. So if you tear it, you will be able to see in the tearing of it, so I'll just show you on here, that you will get that pretty white showing through. So that is one technique that is great for using this two-tone cardstock, is when you tear it, you can get a nice effect on your projects with that white core. Of course, sometimes we don't want a white core, right? But it's so great that we're gonna have options to have white core or to have the solid dyed through. So pretty fun to have options, I think. So let's get started on today's card. I've already cut most of our pieces for us today. So the first thing we're gonna do is the inside. So let me grab our stamps. And normally I have these done up for us, but I wanted to show you how I mount them. So the couple of stamps that we're going to use today is this fern image here, and we're going to use our sentiment here. So these are the red rubber stamps. I like to keep this inside piece. Some people toss it away, but I like to keep it, and then I know every stamp that, you know, if one's missing, I know which one it is and I can find it, right? If it's lost on my desk or something. So I like to keep that outer piece. So these are the red rubber clings. So you'll see they come with some stickers. You put those on, and then you're able to see your image through your clear block. So we're gonna use those two images today. Let me grab my blocks for these. And then to put them on, so it's clings. So this is gonna be removable, sticky, that will stick to your block, just like so. And then you can easily remove them when you're done, put them back in the case. So you only need your blocks for like a set of blocks, and you can use it for all your different stamp sets, right? So there's one. Let me grab the other. And these are the D blocks that I'm using for these. So we've got those ready to go. We're going to be using our Old Olive and our Garden Green ink colors today. So the first one we're going to use is our Old Olive, and we'll use our Fern stamp. Let me bring in just a half sheet of my grid paper as a so I can stamp on here, right? So we're going to use our Old Olive first. I like to just push the ink pad from the top. It flips it open, and then push it right around there. We're gonna ink this up, and I'm gonna stamp two of our ferns here. One, make sure we got ink on there, right? One on the bottom, and I'm just stamping it off the paper just a tad. And then I'm gonna flip my paper around here, ink my fern back up, and do the same thing in the opposite corner. So we've got our inside piece. So one thing I like to share about this Old Olive ink, and why I have this one open, is when you stamp it, it looks much darker than once it dries. So as it dries, this particular color lightens up. So I wanted to show you that. So with our card base, I've already got for us here. This is just a standard size card base that I cut and scored and burnished with my bone folder in thick basic white. This is basic white here that we just stamped on, and we're just gonna use some liquid glue here and adhere that right to the inside. So our inside of our card here is done. How easy is that, right? Just gives it a little bit more sturdiness to add that extra piece in there. Makes your card just that much more weighted, right? And also gives just a little bit of and then some with the inside done. Okay, so that is step one of our card. Step two, we're gonna use that fern embossing folder, and we will pretend that this is a piece that would stick in here. And I guess we totally could do that, right? And close this up. We'll run it through our die cutting, stamp cut and emboss machine. If you don't have one of those yet, oh, add that to your list. I think it makes for an amazing wow factor on our cards, right? When we can emboss and die cut images. So I ran that through with that two-tone cardstock. Now I did this with the darker color facing up. So since it's the two-tone, you get to decide. So if you want your lighter color showing more, or if you want your darker color showing. So I did the darker color of this garden green two-tone cardstock, closed it up, ran it through my die cut machine, and then out came this piece. So you can see that the image is on there, it's impressed into there. That would be the lighter side. And then the technique I'm going to show you today is using a sanding block. So you can find these at any craft store or Amazon, or even the nail store, the nail supply store, beauty supply store. And you might even have one in your bathroom, right? But you can use this on the white cord two-tone cardstock. And when we just lightly sand this over the two-tone cardstock, you will see, because it is white core, do you see that the white is coming through with that embossed image that I did? So it gives it that texture, but now you're also seeing multiple colors, right? You've got the white showing through, you've got the impression of the embossing folder, and you can just keep doing this wherever you want that white to show through a little bit more. Just gives your paper, your project, everything just a little bit more wow factor to it, right? And you don't need to do it very hard, just lightly, kind of do it all over, just like so. Okay, so then we're gonna take this piece and our liquid glue, and we're just gonna add this right to the top. And like always, if you need any of the measurements, step-by-step instructions, or the supply list, just make sure you're subscribed to my weekly Buzz Bulletin. It's a free email that I send to all my customers and team members every single week. And it's got a free printable PDF that you can print with pictures, instructions, supply list, everything, along with today's video. And you can rewatch it and learn all the things from that. It's just free, something that I do for you all. So make sure you're subscribed to that. You can also find all the videos on my blog at stampinqueenbee.com. So there is our base. Isn't it just, could be just beautiful just like so, right? Such a pretty card. I love this fern embossing folder. And I love, what do you think about that effect? Isn't that beautiful when you sand that and just show that white through? I think so. Okay, so the next step in our card today, we are using the deckled rectangle dies. These are one of my must-have favorite dies. I love these because they are basic rectangle shapes. You can use these for so much. They make a really great layer. Like you can just use this this one right here, right? We could have done that. You can use the biggest one for your basic layer and just cut a bunch of these, and that can be your basic layer, because look, it's just about the size of our layer. So there are lots of options with these. The smaller ones are great for sentiments, so you can pre-cut a bunch of those. This Friday, I'm going to share with you one of my favorite prepping organizational tricks, so stay tuned this Friday for Functional Friday, and I will be sharing some of that. But for today, we're going to use two of our deckled rectangles. So this is the 4th and 5th one from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. The 4th and 5th one from the biggest. 1, 2, 3. Or the 4th and 5th one from the smallest. That's easy to remember, right? So these two layer really good. They nestle really good together. And so I already did this for us, so you didn't have to watch me die cut. But I used this one with Old Olive cardstock, and the smaller one here with our basic white. So that's what we're going to use those two pieces today. So the first thing we're gonna do is on our Old Olive piece, we're gonna use that same Old Olive ink and the same fern. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of create our own little background here. So we're just gonna ink up our fern and we're just gonna stamp this all around, kind of making our own little background piece. So it's Old Olive stamped ink on Old Olive paper. So that just gives us this fun background, and it's like two-tone, right? Like, so it's the same color on the same color paper, but when you stamp them, you can still see it. So that just gives us a little and then some to that, right? It's almost like our own designer paper, right? So we'll be using that here in a second. Then we're gonna take our basic white that we die cut from that deckled rectangle. And for this, we're gonna use the same Old Olive ink again. We're gonna stamp one of our ferns. But what we're gonna do on this is we're gonna stamp it off 2 times. So 1, 2, and then we're gonna stamp it onto our basic white. So see how it lightens it up? So we've got our darkest, then we stamped it off onto our scrap paper, we stamped it off again, and then we stamped it onto our basic white for that really light fern to be underneath. Then we're gonna bring in our garden green ink, which is the same as our two-tone cardstock here. And with our sentiment, we're just gonna ink that up. And we're just gonna stamp this right over our light fern, just like so. Okay, so now we'll put our ink away here. And we're gonna bring back our liquid glue. We're gonna glue our basic white focal layer here right over what we stamped on that Old Olive. So we're just kind of creating this focal layer. And can you see how our background that we did just shows through lightly? Gives it just a little bit more than maybe if we didn't do that, right? Okay, so now that that is secure, I'm gonna bring in one of our new products, which is our natural tone linen thread. So this comes in a 3-pack, just like so. And it's linen thread, which is so nice. I love our linen thread. I love that they made it in colors. Wouldn't it be fun if we had linen thread in every color? I would love that. So we're gonna use the garden green. So it comes garden green, copper, clay, and Night of Navy. So we're gonna use that. We're gonna use the green today, the garden green. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap this. Let's see. How did I do this? Opposite way. So we're going to wrap this 3 times around our layer here. So 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to secure this with a bow. So we're just gonna tie a bow, like we're tying our shoelaces. And then we'll just adjust here, adjust our loops how we want them. I usually do that a few times to get it just so. And I'm gonna grab my scissors that I use for ribbon. So I hope you all have a designated pair of scissors that you use for your ribbon, a designated pair. I mean, as crafters, do we ever have too many pairs of snips? I don't think so, right? So I have a designated pair that I have a charm on that I use just for my ribbon. Then I have another pair for cardstock and another pair for my adhesive cutting. That way it doesn't get all mixed, right? Okay, so now we have our fun layer here with our tie around it. We're gonna flip that over and I'm gonna bring in some Stampin' Dimensionals. And we're just gonna stick these right on the back here. Couple more. There we go. And we'll just peel the backings off of these. So easy. Couple more. There we go. Okay, and then we're just gonna bring our card base. We're gonna center that right on there and press that down. So there we have our simple but beautiful card front, our inside. The only thing it's missing is some bling, right? So one of my favorite new fall bling is these earth tone shimmer gems. So they are really sparkly. I love bling and I love sparkle. And I love the colors that are in here. So there's garden green, which is what we'll use today. There is, let's see, copper clay, crumb cake, and very vanilla. So all your very vanilla papers and DSPs, that goes beautifully with those. Crumb cake, of course, you know, one of my favorites. And then these other earth tone ones are also great. So I've got my take your pick tool here, and I'm just gonna pull in a couple of these garden green gems and put those right on our focal layer there. So earth tone shimmer gems. Love that. Okay, and there's our card. What do you think? Isn't it beautiful? I love this technique. I hope you guys try it. The two-tone cardstock is one of my new favorite products that we have. I'm so excited they're gonna have all those colors for us. So many new project ideas that we can use with the two-tone cardstock that complements our regular cardstock to create some beautiful, beautiful things. So I will see you guys on Functional Friday for some more organizing tips, and next week on What's She Making Wednesday for some more card making tricks and tips. Thanks so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and sharing with your friends.